Okay, so hi. Um, so it is currently February. Full body avatars launch next month in March. So I thought I would have a video talking about everything we know so far about full body avatars because there's a lot to know, and I think people should know about everything that we'll be releasing with them. So, where do we start? We start on January 24th of 2023 with the first devlog by Rec Room of the future of avatars in Rec Room. So, in this devlog, to break it down, in the beginning they talk about how ever since 2016, the Rec Room avatars have been kind of based on like Wii Sports avatars and how they're like the Wii Sport avatars of VR. And they obviously love their simple being avatars, and they have for the longest time. But they thought since VR technology has gotten so much better over time, has gotten way more evolved, they wanted to evolve their avatars too. And that's where we get to the first concept art where they show us their envisionment of full body avatars. I'm pretty sure everyone's seen this image by now, but this is where they showed it to the world, the fact that they want to work on full body avatars. And this is still controversial to this day because a lot of people don't like him. But that's where they talked about him for the first time. They talked about how when they release full body avatars, you will not be required, obviously, to use them, and they will be optional, and you will always be able to use the bean avatars. But they wanted to make them because they thought that it would be, I guess, more options to be able to customize yourself, obviously. But anyways, the full body avatars will fully support every item in the game, and that was something they talked about, and that was the first devlog. Now, at the time of when this released, it was kind of scary. It still looks scary. These full body avatars they're terrifying. Everyone was freaking out. They're like, why do we need this? And I still agree, why do we need this? But anyways, that's what the first devlog is. So then we had to wait a month before we got into the next one. On February 10th, they talked about dressing the full body avatars. February 10th, 2023. Jeez, it was taking them so long to do. So we got the dressing of full body avatars, where they talked about converting torso items. They showed, for example, the Rec Room hoodie. They showed how you'll have sleeves, obviously, since you'll have arms and legs and necks and feet. You'll need that. Yeah, you'll need those. So, anyways, they showed how they put sleeves on them, and they showed how your character will have arms and sleeves, and they show that with the jacket and with the hoodie. And they talk about how they'll have to convert hand items to fit, obviously, in your hand. So, for example, with Rec Room right now, if you hold an item, your hand disappears. With full body avatars, in order to make that realistic, we'll have to wrap around the actual water bottle instead of just disappearing. That's what they'll have to do, and that's something that they've been also working on. So then they talk about how they have to iron out the wrinkles, so to say. Not everything with full body avatars, when it releases, will be perfect, and most of it will take time to get good looking. And they also talk about leg and foot items, where you will have pants and you will have shoes, and there's different kinds of shoes and pants you'll be able to wear. And then they tell you to wait for more news. So then we get another dev blog on March. January, February, March. It almost seems like they're releasing one every month. So then we get to avatar embodiment, where they talk about the evolution of full body avatars, where they show an image of a full body avatar character with legs and arms, and they show you'll be able to dab, and there's a lot of tweaking that they have to do to make arms obviously work and look like your real arms, and have legs kind of move in a realistic manner, and being able to dab. But they also talk about hands. There'll be hands with fingers, and the fingers will have certain animations similar to like how VR chat works, or even if you want Horizon Worlds, where the hands will be able to have different positions of closing and fist bumping and pointing, and hopefully doing like the horns or like a piece or any of that kind of stuff. So they'll be doing a lot of that. And they talk about how they've had to make the animations of movement feel good, and they also talk about the adjustment of how your height and your shoulder width and your torso length are for full customization. And then they tell us to wait again. So then we get to avatar faces, where they talk about how your faces look. And obviously, faces are important. You're going to be seeing them a lot, and making them uncanny looks weird. And of course, these faces look weird. So they talk about the eyebrows, where your character will have eyebrows. Now, if I say anything, I'm gonna say the eyebrows on these characters look weird. I still don't like how the eyebrows look. They always look very high up, like maybe too high, and it makes the characters just look so strange. And then they talk about the eyes. Your eyes will have eye glint, which I hate the eye glint. I'm sorry, but I just really hate the eye glint. It makes the eyes look really weird. The thing about the face is the faces, they add too much detail to the point where it looks super uncanny and weird. Eyebrows looks weird because they're too high up, and the eyebrows, I just hate eyebrows. And then we got eye glint, where eye glint tries to add more detail to the eyes. But do we need more detail to the eyes? Do I look like I need more detail in these eyes? I don't think so. And then we get noses, which, why? They released that April Fool's thing and the noses still look awful. Let's see if I can find one. My god. And my thing will load. Give me a second. Here we go. We got noses. Like, this looks weird. It looks weird. It still looks weird. And everyone joked about it, and then they're like, yeah, we're gonna actually release it. Why? Why do we need ears? Or noses, I mean. Why do we need noses? I don't know. But they also look weird. And I think it looks better without the nose when they show without the nose, because noses just don't look right in these characters. And then they talk about as well how like skin tones work, and how you'll have lighter looking palms, like more palm detail towards the hands. Sorry about it. But then they tell us to wait on more news. May. We had to wait 2 months for this one, where they talk about the movement and the gameplay of full body avatars. That is where they show even more movement and gameplay, obviously, which is what we want to see, because we want to learn more about these uncanny looking creepers over here. So we got, now I will say, if I'm going to give them any credit, the arms and legs, considering they have to make a character that wasn't supposed to have arms and legs to begin with, the arms and legs actually don't look that bad. I think for me, the weirdest part is the eyebrows, the eye glint, the noses, the fingers kind of look weird, and then the necks. The necks look really too small because the heads are big. Our Rec Room heads are ginormous, which is like a problem, right? Because the necks just look weird because they're not like built correctly. But anyways, then we get to a person waving, where they talk about hands and being able to high five and shake hands, and they talk more about how hands work and hips work and torsos work, and there's nothing really that interesting, I'm not gonna lie. So then we get to more hand positions that they show of like open hand, relaxed hand, the claw. I love the claw. And then we got the fist, the pinch, we got the tensed, we got the reach, and we got the... I bet reach would be when you're close to grabbing something, which I never really thought about that before, but it makes sense now. But they look like hands, yeah. And then we get showing different ways of moving slow, moving a bit faster, more like a speed walk, and then like more of a jog, obviously. And then they show how they don't really know how to do climbing yet, and they kind of just have your character doing that. It looks weird. It looks really weird. But anyways, they have that. So then they also talked about balance. So full body avatars, obviously, we have to account for the fact that with beans, if you get shot where an arm is supposed to be, but there's no arm there, you're not gonna get hit because there's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing where the legs would be. So how do you do that with full body where there is gonna be a shootable thing here? Well, they pretty much just said, screw it, you're gonna get hit there, and it's gonna be a disadvantage for full body. But they said, well, actually, it technically doesn't matter that much because you'll probably get hit anyways, and scale issue. Well, and then they talked about how if you really care that much, just in leagues only force full body or force beans or whatever. But like, that's a lot of copium. But obviously they said this is a competitive game, and I guess if you're that competitive, just use beans, because nobody's gonna use full bodies anyways. But then they show off a picture of all them just standing there, and they say, yeah, we're excited, wait for another dev blog, yay. So then we get to we had to wait a while before we finally got we had to wait a while before we finally got... When did this come out? Let's see. When did this come out? I don't remember. It came out like January 9th of this year. So it came out last month. It took us quite a few months before we finally got more talk about it. And before this came out, obviously we had some weird videos where it showed like weird full body avatar movements and videos, and they all looked cursed, and I think we can agree with that. But then they finally showcased and announced that they will be coming out in March. They will be coming out in March, obviously, of this year, and they show more videos of people doing stuff with them in game. They show screen modes using them, and they tell you about how you're going to get access to them. So level 50 players in March will be able to get them when they first release. So level 50s will be the guinea pigs that get to test it, and over the coming weeks, eventually they'll drop level requirements, so that way anybody can use them. But most people are level 50, so this isn't really a problem. And then they show an image of a full body next to a bean, and it looks just so uncanny. I'm not gonna lie, it looks really weird. It still looks cursed to me. Look at how high those eyebrows are. I still don't get why they're that high. Just why? Why? So then they talk about the beta period, of the fact that this is all a beta, I guess, so they could probably say can't criticize it, it's in beta, yippee. So then they show more of how all the adjustments are. Of you'll be able to customize a lot of how everything works, of face shape, and everything accumulates together to be able to make your character look however you want, which means there's going to be some really cursed avatars. That's what I'm thinking about. Imagine, cursed normal Rec Room avatars that people make. Imagine full body. It's going to be, oh boy. So, I mean, I will say customization wise, you do get a lot of customization at the very least. But then they talk about an avatar upvote link to be able to provide feedback and upvote things of features you want add to full body avatars. And they show a video of some characters posing, which this actually looked kind of nice. Some of these avatars in here actually didn't look too bad. The bee one looked pretty nice, and the werewolf one I think looked pretty nice as well. But why the robot guy doesn't get unique pants, I don't know. Stuff like that's kind of weird, but maybe some full body avatars will actually look nice. But then they talked about, yes, again, it'll be optional because people are worried that's not optional. They talked about, well, all the outfits work. Yes, they will. They talked about how noses and eyebrows and ears and eye glint will be optional, thankfully. So you could be a little bit less cursed. But obviously they showed how all the eyebrows and noses will be like adjustable to how you want them to look and how big they are and all that kind of stuff. So then they talked about hitboxes. Again, this is more of an overview, I'm not gonna lie. And they also, they talked about full body tracking. So it won't be available on release, but it is something they're working on. And also finger tracking is another thing. Hand tracking is also another thing that they're working on. And they talked about how beans will, according to them, be indefinite and never be removed. We'll see about that. So then, if we go to the upvote section, they talk about features that people want, and they talk about whether these are planned or whether these are actually being worked on or not at all. So some of the interesting ones are obviously we're getting hand tracking, which someone talked about. Interactive clothing. That one is interesting, and they said it's under construction. People are talking about like being able to like have tails and like, in VR chat there's some interactive clothing and stuff where you'd be able to like interact with stuff. I don't know. So then they also apparently under construction is hair movement. Like hair would be able to move around and actually wave, and that was something they had a long time back that they were talking about, but they never really worked on it enough, I guess. They also talked about full face tracking. That would be interesting, like how on mobile you would have face tracking. I think they got rid of that though, but that would be interesting with full body, obviously, and just with normal avatars in general. Toggling eye glint, which obviously is a thing. Tattoos is interesting, another level of customization. They also have make your own hats and accessories, which is also planned. UGC content, add a tail, that's also under construction. Sleeve options for custom shirts. Custom shirts will have sleeves, thanks to leaks. Yes, they will. Now, this is one of the things that I had suggested, but people like Energetic Roots had the same idea. Pretty much, for example, in VR chat, if someone was wearing an avatar that you didn't want to see, or if or if there was an avatar that was like taking up too much performance, it would make that avatar not visible to that player, and they would look like a floating robot bean guy, similar to Rec Room avatars. They almost look the exact same, and pretty much that was my thing, was maybe in the watch you'd be able to make it so that you can't see full body avatars, or maybe click on a profile and you can make it where they can't see full body avatars. And I think that'd be a great feature, because a lot of us don't like full body avatars, and if we don't want to see them, it would be nice if you could just, because again, it could be with that toggle, it just removes any full body things, and then they look like a bean, because the same cosmetics are wearable on beans and such. So I think that'd be a great idea, but obviously it says not planned, so who knows if that'll ever be a thing. Height adjustment for glasses, of being able to adjust where the glasses are on your face, of lower or higher. That would also be a great feature for Bean. I've been waiting on something like that for a while, but it is something that's under construction. Physics with your clothing, of it being able to bag around stuff, is also an under construction thing. Painted nails is interesting, so that's also another thing that people wanted that's apparently under construction, is being able to have nails and have them painted, which would be interesting. Unique skins and scars and birthmarks, that would be interesting. Of where you could have more wrinkles and stuff, I guess. Piercings, because people like piercings. I don't really like piercings, but I guess options are options, so that's under construction. Prosthetic limbs for amputees and stuff, being able to, I guess, have a prosthetic arm. Maybe you don't have like a controller, or you actually are missing an arm. And you would be able to have like maybe a hook, or you wouldn't have any arm at all, or it would be robotic. And same thing for like peg legs and those prosthetic legs and stuff. That would be interesting. I think that's also interesting. Customizing the wristband for a watch is another thing that's under construction, which would be interesting, because people have always kind of wanted watch customization, because it'd be fun. Made recolors, could have been a weekly skin, but they don't do weeklies anymore, so we'll probably not have anything like that. But that was always also another interesting thing. And the bowling shoe from bowling being a thing, that would be interesting. For on full body, allow being by avatars to use eyebrows and noses. That would be interesting, I guess, if you really want that. There's a lot in here, but those are some of the interesting ones. So yeah. But that's pretty much. Oh yeah, okay, there's one last thing. So on the Discord a long time ago, on the Rec Room Discord, they talked about, or they showed off the fact that they were able to make the full body avatars actually look good when wall running and climbing, where the animations don't look so weird. So I will say, on a technological standpoint, this is on screen mode. I don't know how it'll look on VR, but on screen mode, this is actually technologically pretty impressive, to say the least. The fact that nothing really like clips through and it actually looks this seamless is, again, with full body avatars, a lot of people don't like them. I don't like them. But on a technological level, it is pretty impressive what they actually put themselves to do. But then the question is why? So with full body avatars, the main thing that's annoying to me is how much time they put into it. Again, it's maybe there will be a lot of people who like this, and maybe it will be better on release. But for right now, it seems annoying that they've spent so much time into working on these, knowing that there's so much other stuff that could be on higher priority than full body avatars. Like, there's just so many bugs and glitches and performance problems with the game, stuff that hasn't been fixed for so long that could have been priorities, new Rec Room originals, new content that we could be getting. But for over a year, or even more, we don't know how long they've been working on this. They've been working on full body avatars as one of their higher priorities, which I think is unfortunate because I think at the core, Rec Room needs more content. I get it. They say the whole, well, anybody can build it on their own, but nobody wants to build high quality stuff, or not enough people want to build high quality stuff in Rec Room. There are those rooms that are actually well made. There's a lot of them, of really good Rec Room maps, but for the most part, a lot of Rec Room's maps are the typical Roblox ripoffs and very low quality maps that easily make money. And you can't really blame those people because they're just trying to get what they can out of the little, or out of a low enough effort to get them a lot in return. But I just I joined in 2020 in this game back in October, so I never really got to see the golden age of when this game really started. But it always looked so exciting back then, seeing all these quests get released and all these different modes get released, that we're lucky if we even get one RO that's actually interesting now. In my time, I've seen Rec Rally release, and it flopped way on release. Showdown, people even forget exists. I forget exists. And Make It to Midnight, which was at least fun, and I played a lot of time into it thanks to the level up system and it being a pretty good mode actually, but Bonky's hammer is still broken. So there's, again, I could rant all day long for so long about the problems of this game, but I just think full body avatars was a disappointing priority of this game, and the fact that this was one of the big things they've been working on for so long is just, I don't know. I don't think we needed it. I don't think most of the people didn't even want it, but we're getting it anyways, and we'll just have to see our releases in March.